When I got into the car accident, my wife, Bella, calmly took the terminal diagnosis from the doctor, signed her name, and then cozied up to her secretary, Connor, as they rushed away. As my spirit floated there, I didn't feel the slightest bit of sadness. From high school sweethearts to a married couple, we'd been together for over a decade and had long grown tired of each other. I had already moved past the initial pain and confusion to a state of calm acceptance. 3 days later, at my funeral, watching my parents leaning against my tombstone, sobbing uncontrollably, my heart throbbed with pain. My mother saw Bella rush over, her usual kindness gone, and slapped her hard across the face. "Get out," she seethed. "We don't need your crocodile tears. Ethan doesn't want to see you." Bella just stood there silently, her head bowed. After the funeral, my parents left, holding on to each other for support. As they passed Bella, my father looked like he wanted to say something, but seeing the daughter-in-law he had once been so proud of, he ultimately just sighed and said nothing. Soon, only Bella remained in front of my grave. I was curious, what was she still doing here? Shouldn't she be celebrating that she was finally free to be with her secretary, Connor? Bella knelt before my tombstone, gently stroking the photo etched on it, and murmured, "Ethan, if we could do it all over again, would you still choose me?" I watched her with scorn, and just as I was about to answer, a powerful force yanked my soul into darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I shielded them from the blinding sun and saw classmates sitting in neat rows all around me. My brain short-circuited for a second. What was going on? Holy crap, don't tell me I've been reborn. I looked at Bella sitting next to me, listening intently to the teacher. The sunlight illuminated her flawless skin, so clearly I could see the peach fuzz on her cheeks. I had to admit, she really earned her title as the most popular girl in school. She was stunning even back in high school. I glanced around at the other students, trying to figure out what grade I was in, when a harsh voice cut through my thoughts. "Ethan, why are you craning your neck all over the place? Are you trying to be a giraffe? Looking for some tasty leaves? Get to the back of the classroom and stand there. Son of a bitch." Now I was sure. I was back in freshman year. Who else but Mr. Williams could be that sarcastic? I got up and walked to the last row of the class. There was only one desk back there, right next to the trash can, and that's where Kloe sat. If there was one person from my short past life that I could never forget, one person I felt guilty about even in death, it was Kloe. Chloe's home life was a nightmare. Her parents were gambling addicts who never paid her any attention. In her last year of middle school, just before Christmas, her father lost big and demanded money from her mother, only to find out she'd been cheating on him and had given all their money to her lover. In a blind rage, her father killed her mother and went on the run. Kloe didn't find her mother's body until she got home from school. On New Year's Day, the police told her they had caught her father. He was sentenced to life in prison. While other families were celebrating the holidays, Kloe became an orphan whose parents were still alive. Despite everything, Kloe never gave up. She got the highest score in the entire county on the entrance exam for Northwood High, our state's top public school. I only learned all this in my past life after she died. I couldn't live with the guilt, so I went to her old hometown, Havenwood, to find out her story. Seeing me approach, Kloe nervously scooted her chair away, keeping her head down, afraid to even look at me. I gritted my teeth, fighting back tears as I stood beside her, memories of my past life rushing back like a tidal wave. In my past life, on the first day of school, Kloe showed up in a worn-out white t-shirt, faded gray pants, and a pair of cheap canvas shoes I'd never seen before. She looked like she was straight out of the countryside. Her hair was cut short, barely covering her eyes, and she walked with her head down and her shoulders slumped. After registration, we were lining up to go to class, and I happened to be standing next to her when our homeroom teacher, Mr. Williams, slapped her on the back. "Chest out," he said. "Don't slouch around and embarrass this class." When Kloe straightened up, my jaw dropped. I'd never seen a girl so developed. I let out a wolf whistle, pointed at her chest, and roared with laughter. I was a troublemaker in middle school, and my dad had paid a hefty donation to get me into Northwood. Most of the kids in my class came from my old school, and they all looked to me to see what to do. Seeing my over-the-top reaction, the other students gathered around to see what was going on. Under the weight of everyone's stares, Chloe's head sank lower, and her shoulders slumped forward once more. From that day on, I started calling her Melons and led the entire class in bullying her. The guys would make her erase the blackboard just to watch her chest move. The girls would send her on snack runs during recess. Kloe never fought back. She just took it all in silence. You could say she spent all 3 years of high school being tormented by me. Then, the day before our final exams, Kloe jumped from the roof of the school. The rumor was that a male teacher had groped her after school. She didn't know who to turn to. When she reported it, the police came, but the school claimed she had mental health issues and refused to support her. With no options left, she chose to end her life. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I barely knew her, after all. But as I got older, the guilt became overwhelming. I hated the person I was in high school. I was a complete bastard. I wanted to make amends, so I went to Havenwood and learned about her tragic past. The people there always said that Kloe was the pride of Havenwood, the first kid to ever test her way out of that town. And I was the one who destroyed that brilliant, promising girl. As the memory hit me, I slapped myself hard across the face, twice. The sharp cracks startled the entire class, and they stared, dumbfounded, at my already swelling face. Mr. Williams pointed a finger at me. "Ethan, have you lost your mind? If you forgot to take your meds, call your mother to bring them." I glared at him. Didn't he only care about the top students? Kloe was number one in our class, so why did he ignore her? Was it just because she had no family to stand up for her? But I had no right to blame him. I was the real monster who drove her to the edge. I lowered my head as Mr. Williams went on with the lesson. While I was still dazed, a trembling hand held out an old handkerchief in front of me. "Here," a quiet voice said. "Your lip is bleeding." It was Chloe's timid voice. I couldn't hold it together anymore. I snatched the handkerchief and ran out of the classroom, sobbing. How could the world treat you so cruelly, yet you still respond with kindness? Why couldn't you just hate me? You should have just killed me. I sat out on the bleachers until the bell rang. After pulling myself together, I went back to the classroom, walked straight to Kloe, and crouched down beside her. "Kloe," I asked in the softest voice I could manage, "can I move my desk and sit next to you?" The color drained from her face. She frantically shook her head, too scared to even speak. I knew she was too afraid to say no, but she definitely didn't want me sitting with her. I was coming on too strong. I tried to reassure her. "It's okay, I was just asking. You can just say no if you don't want to." After a long silence, Kloe finally whispered, "I'm fine sitting by myself." I didn't push it. I just got up and went back to my desk. Bella gave me a surprised look. "What were you saying to Kloe? Aren't you worried people will make fun of you?" I whipped my head around and glared at her. "What I say to Kloe is none of your business. Why don't you mind your own?" My shouting brought tears to her eyes. She muttered, "You're insane," and turned away, ignoring me. Honestly, I didn't hate Bella. Her betrayal, her coldness, that was all in another lifetime. In this life, we would have nothing to do with each other. Just then, some kids started yelling for Kloe to go erase the board. She kept her head down and her shoulders hunched as she walked to the front. I shot up from my seat, ran to the board, and grabbed the eraser myself, wiping it clean. After the board was clean, I looked at Kloe, who was frozen in place, and at my stunned classmates. "I want to apologize for bullying Kloe and for all the pain I've caused her," I said loudly. "Whether she forgives me or not, I have to apologize for what I did." Then, I turned to Kloe and gave her a deep, formal bow. I straightened up and continued. "From now on, if the board needs to be erased and whoever's on duty doesn't want to do it, just ask me. If any of you girls need someone to run errands during recess, you can ask me too. Just leave Kloe alone." I walked back from the front of the room. Kloe didn't look at me. She just quietly returned to her desk. I ignored the murmurs from the other students. I had made my position clear. No one was going to bully Kloe anymore. When class started, I opened my brand new textbook. In my past life, I was a total slacker. My dad had to hire tutors for me and Bella for ages just so we could scrape by and get into a state college. This time, I wanted to keep up with Kloe, but honestly, I had zero confidence. The thought made me smile grimly. Some reborn protagonist I was, getting a second chance at high school and still not sure I could handle the coursework. During class, Bella tossed a note on my desk, then turned away with a haughty little sniff. I opened it. It read, "I'll forgive you if you take me to Frank's Cajun seafood for lunch." I laughed in disbelief and wrote back on the note, "Go eat crap." Then I tossed it back on her desk, like I needed her to give me an out. It would be better if she never forgave me and never spoke to me again. I'd thank my lucky stars. Bella opened the note, her expression hopeful, but when she read my reply, her face flushed with anger and she shot me a furious glare. I pretended not to notice, staring at my math book and trying desperately to remember what was on the final exams from my past life. I couldn't recall a single question. If only I'd died the day after graduation, I might have remembered the test questions and saved myself 10 years of misery with Bella. Since there were no shortcuts, I'd just have to actually learn. I started paying attention in class, but I kept glancing back at Kloe. It felt like my only purpose in this new life was to atone for my past mistakes. Making money, starting a business, none of that mattered. I had my dad for that, He was the eternal wallet, after all. Poor guy, having to support my freeloading ass for 2 lifetimes. At lunchtime, my crew surrounded me. My best friend, Leo, asked, "Ethan, what's going on? Are you really done messing with melons? Where are we supposed to get our kicks now?" I kicked him lightly. "Leo, I'm warning all of you. If anyone dares to bully Kloe again, I'll personally destroy them." "Got it. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to start studying." My friends stared at me in horror. Leo looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Dude, are you possessed or something? You studying? We've been in the same class since middle school, and you've been permanently glued to the bottom of the class rankings." I flushed, embarrassed. Thinking back, it really was a miracle I even got into a state college last time. My embarrassment turned to anger. "I'm not kidding. I'm done messing around with you guys. I'm going to study." My friends just scoffed. Like me, their parents had paid their way into this school. For guys like us, trying hard in school was basically social suicide. I ignored them and headed to the cafeteria alone. I usually ate lunch with Bella, but since I'd made her cry today, I knew she wouldn't be looking for me, which was a relief. When I got to the cafeteria, I saw Leo and the guys surrounding Kloe. She was just eating plain bread rolls, dipping them in the free soup. She had 4 of them on her tray. Leo and his friends were laughing and yelling, "Keep stuffing your face, melons. Eat till you're a pig and no one will want you." I snapped. I charged over and started throwing punches and kicks at them. Was I just talking to hear myself speak? Didn't I tell you I'd destroy anyone who messes with Kloe? Leo, furious, pointed at me. "Ethan, what the hell is your problem? You were always the one who was worse to her, and now you're acting like some kind of saint. We've been best friends for years, and you're attacking me like this? Unbelievable." I was speechless. He was right. Kloe stopped eating, her head bowed and her hands clenched into fists, as if she were the one who had done something wrong. I walked over to her. "It's okay, Kloe, go ahead and eat," I said softly. "No one is going to bother you again." She kept her head down, not moving, not eating. I sighed. Breaking through the wall between us was going to be incredibly difficult. Who would ever trust someone who tormented them from the very first day of high school, only to suddenly turn nice? I pulled Leo and the guys over to the bleachers. Putting my arm around his shoulder, I said, "Leo, believe me, one day you're going to look back on what you did to her today, and it's going to feel like a knife twisting in your gut. Can you imagine that?" He and the others just looked confused. "Why?" Leo asked. I sighed and told them Kloe's story. At 15 or 16, kids are full of empathy. Unless you're a born sociopath, a story like that is going to hit you hard. By the end, Leo and the others were in tears. "Kloe's life is so tragic," Leo sniffled. "A gambling dad, a cheating mom, a horrible childhood, a broken home." He said it between sobs. "Oh, shut up with the dramatics," I said, rolling my eyes. I snapped. Leo looked at me, completely lost. "What does that even mean, man?" I waved him off. "Whoops, almost blew my cover as a guy from the future. Never mind, you'll get it when you're older. For now, just think about how you've treated Kloe, and think about how you're going to treat her from now on." They all immediately declared that from now on, they would be her protectors. I rolled my eyes, like she needed them. On the way back to class, Leo sidled up to me. "Hey Ethan, so this morning, you slapped yourself because you felt bad about bullying Kloe?" I nodded. "So how do you know all that stuff about her past?" he asked. "I don't even know where she lives. She stays in the dorms. I've never seen her go home." Leo pressed on. A wave of sadness hit me. "Leo," I said quietly, "does she even have a home to go to?" That shut him up. I could see his face start to crumple like he was about to cry again. I quickly nudged him with my foot. "Knock it off." Leo composed himself and asked again. "You still haven't answered my question, Ethan. How do you know about her past? Don't tell me you have a crush on her. So you did a background check or something." His question threw me. A crush? I didn't think so. It was just guilt, a guilt so profound I wanted to kill my past self. I would have gladly died in her place. When I didn't answer, he jumped to his own conclusion. "Whoa, dude, I didn't know you were into that. You're not seriously hooked on her giant chest, are you? Haven't you seen the way the male teachers sneak a look at the back of our classroom whenever they walk by? That reminded me of how she died in my past life. I just wished I knew which one of those scumbag teachers it was. If I knew, I'd kill him right now." Back in class, Leo saw Kloe sitting by the trash can and felt a pang of guilt. He marched to the front row and pointed at Bella's best friend, Jessica. "You, grab your desk and move to the back." Jessica stood up, furious, but she was too scared to argue with Leo. She looked to Bella for help, and Bella looked at me, but I just ignored them both. In my past life, Jessica was the one who introduced Bella to that secretary, Connor. There's no way in hell she wasn't in on it. When Bella saw I wasn't going to intervene, she just shook her head helplessly at Jessica. Jessica glared at Leo. You just wait, she huffed. I'll get this seat back. Then she started dragging her desk to the back of the room. Leo then trotted over to Kloe like an eager puppy. Here, let me get that for you, sis. I facepalmed. Kloe was too stunned to move, just sitting there as Leo carried her desk to the front row. But then Jessica's deskmate, a guy, stood up and pointed at Kloe. I'm not sitting next to her. She stinks. Hearing that, Kloe, who had just stood up, immediately sat back down, her head bowed. Leo lost it. All the guys who had heard Chloe's story at lunch lost it. Leo launched himself forward and kicked the guy so hard he flew back and landed by the trash can. The rest of our friends swarmed him, eager to prove themselves. Who are you calling stinky? Nothing stinks worse than that mouth of yours. If we were outside, I'd knock your teeth out. I panicked. These were teenagers. They didn't know their own strength. If they killed him, it would be a disaster. I pushed through the crowd and pulled them off. Leo spat at the guy on the floor. A loser like you thinks you deserve to sit next to her? You've got to be kidding me. You're not worthy. Then Leo pointed at Jessica. You, go get his desk. You two like sitting together so much. You can sit together right next to the trash can. And if you even think about telling a teacher, I'll find people outside of school to take care of you both. Got it. Terrified, Jessica quickly dragged her deskmate's desk over and then helped him up. Kloe walked to the front row with her head down, Leo trailing behind her carrying her chair, providing full-service support. After they were settled, Leo waved me over. Ethan, she's over here. Bring your desk over. I put on a stern face. What are you talking about? Who are you calling sis? Inside, though, I was thrilled. The kid knew what he was doing. As I started moving my desk, Bella grabbed my arm. You're not actually going to sit next to Melons, are you? Don't you care that people will laugh at you? I shook her hand off. Get lost. Who would dare laugh at me? And stop with the Melons crap. You wish you had something for people to nickname. I glanced disdainfully at her flat chest. That really made her cry. She slumped over her desk, sobbing. I couldn't be bothered with her. I casually placed my desk next to Chloe's and went back for my chair. Chloe shifted in her seat, trying to put as much distance between us as possible. I felt a surge of frustration. Me, Ethan Hayes, the most popular guy at Northwood High, was actually being shunned. When class started, Mr. Williams walked in. He looked at me, then at Chloe, and then waved his hand in front of his nose in disgust. Chloe's head dropped, and she pressed her lips together tightly. My temper flared. Mr. Williams, did you step in something? No wonder you're fanning yourself. I smelled something foul the second you walked in, too. I turned to Leo. Leo, you smell that? Leo nodded eagerly. Yeah, I smelled it the moment Mr. Williams came in. The air of a true master. My whole crew started chiming in. Mr. Williams had never faced a mutiny like this. He slammed his textbook on the desk. All of you shut your mouths. What nonsense are you spouting? When did I step in anything? I grinned. Perfect. Now he was on the defensive. I led my crew in a relentless wave of heckling until Mr. Williams, furious, stormed out of the classroom. I turned to Chloe, expecting some credit, but she completely ignored me. That was awkward. I made a decision then and there. Mr. Williams had to go. I didn't care if the jerk targeted me, but I would not let him target Chloe. After school, since we didn't live in the dorms, I walked home with Leo and the guys. We all lived in the same neighborhood. On the way, I told them, when you get home, tell your parents that Mr. Williams just walked out on our class today for no reason and left us with a study hall. Tomorrow, have your parents go to the school and demand a new teacher. Leo and the others stared at me, surprised. Dude, I never knew you were so devious. Isn't that kind of messed up? Mr. Williams hasn't really done anything wrong. Cut the crap. There's no right or wrong in the real world. He targeted Chloe, so I'm targeting him. Understand? They all nodded. All right, Ethan, we're with you. When I got home, my dad was on the couch reading the paper, and my mom was busy in the kitchen. Seeing them again filled me with emotion. The memory of them weeping at my grave in my past life made my heart ache. I leaned over and hugged my dad. Dad, I missed you. Get off me, he grumbled, pushing me away. Go hug your mother if you need a hug. You're a grown man, taller than I am. Stop being so weird. My dad shoved me off, disgusted. I smacked my lips. I guess he had a point. I charged into the kitchen and hugged my mom. She immediately swatted me with the back of her hand, leaving a puff of flour on my cheek. Get out of here, she said. You're not a little kid anymore. Go on, don't get in my way while I'm cooking. So much for a warm, loving reunion. This family was fresh out of affection. At dinner, I brought up the idea of getting a new teacher. My dad got so angry he slammed his fork down on the table. With your grades, dead last in the class, what difference does it make who your teacher is? You complain the teacher is irresponsible and doesn't teach, but do you even listen when he does? Do you even understand any of it? My temper flared right back. Don't you look down on me, Dad. I'm telling you, if you get me a new teacher, I guarantee my grades will improve by the end of the year. We can bet on it if you don't believe me." My dad laughed, a humorless sound. "And what, exactly, would we be betting? You name the stakes. Just get Mr. Williams replaced first." "Fine," he said. "I'll go to the school tomorrow and talk to your principal. Who do you want as your new homeroom teacher?" I thought for a moment. "The English teacher, Ms. Davis. She might be young, but she's dedicated." I had my reasons. Ms. Davis had only graduated a few years ago and wasn't the most experienced, but she was the only teacher who didn't treat Kloe like dirt. She lived on campus, and I'd seen her take Kloe to the cafeteria for dinner a few times. "All right," he said. "I agree. Now eat. But if you don't do well on your finals, you and I will have another conversation." I smiled and started putting food on my parents' plates. My dad could be tough, a real shark in the business world, but when it came to me, he'd always come through. The next morning, Mr. Williams was on the podium, yelling at us as usual. Suddenly, the principal opened the classroom door. "Mr. Williams, could I see you for a moment?" Mr. Williams scurried out like a suck-up. Seeing my dad standing next to the principal, along with Leo's parents and the others, I knew it was a done deal. A few moments later, the principal walked in with Ms. Davis, the English teacher. "Class, I have an announcement. Starting today, Ms. Davis will be your new homeroom teacher. Due to a work reassignment, Mr. Williams will no longer be teaching at Northwood High. Please welcome Ms. Davis." I saw Kloe lift her head, and for a split second, there was a spark in her eyes. It was all worth it. All the scheming, all the trouble I'd caused for all those parents. It was all worth it just to see that tiny glimmer of light in her eyes. Ms. Davis was great. She treated every student fairly. At first, Leo and the guys still messed around, but I told them that Kloe was a big supporter of Ms. Davis, and after that, they shut up in class. If anyone from another class was loud in the hallway during study hall, Leo would lead a charge to go kick them. I genuinely started trying to study. I read the material over and over, but when it came to actually doing the problems, I was completely lost. I tried asking Kloe for help, but she ignored me. Bella and I were completely done. There hadn't been much between us anyway. In my past life, we didn't even start dating until sophomore year. Before that, we were just friends who sat next to each other. One day during morning break, I stayed inside, wrestling with a math problem. A classmate ran in, panicked. "Ethan, it's bad. Leo and the guys are fighting with some seniors." I was shocked. They were that bold. Freshmen taking on seniors. I sprinted outside with him. A huge crowd had formed on the field. When I pushed my way through, I saw Leo holding a guy by the collar, punching him in the face. The dean and a few other male teachers were trying to break it up. Ms. Davis was desperately trying to pull Leo back, but he was fighting like a madman. No one could restrain him. The other seniors were yelling and looked ready to jump in. I rushed over. "Leo, are you insane? What happened?" "Ethan, these assholes were asking for it." Kloe was just walking by, and that jerk with the emo haircut blocked her path, called her melons, and asked if she needed help carrying around Mount Everest. After he told me, I frantically looked for Kloe. I saw her standing behind Ms. Davis, her head down. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least she was safe. Then I lost it. I started looking around wildly. My friends asked what I was looking for, but I ignored them. I spotted the microphone stand on the assembly stage. I sprinted up the steps, grabbed the heavy metal stand, and charged back down. I ran right up to the senior with the emo hair. In that moment, all I wanted to do was kill him. My fury must have been terrifying, because no one dared to stop me. The senior tried to act tough. "Ethan, I know who you are. My older brother is." I swung the stand and cracked it over his head. "I don't care if your brother is the damn godfather. I'm still going to kill you today." He crumpled to the ground, clutching his head. I raised the broken stand to hit him again, but Leo and my friends tackled me, pinning me to the ground. They could see I was serious about killing him and were terrified. The stand was solid steel. I struggled to get free, but they held me down tight. Back in the classroom, the principal and the dean came in and immediately started lecturing us. But Ms. Davis interrupted the principal mid-sentence. "Principal, while I don't condone fighting, I believe Ethan and Leo's intentions were good. They were protecting a fellow student from harassment. I spoke with Kloe about what happened. That senior was harassing her. I don't think they were wrong to defend her, even if they went too far." I almost cried. I knew choosing Ms. Davis was the right call. I felt a little embarrassed. Leo had been protecting her in the moment. I was just getting revenge. But I didn't regret it. I'd kill anyone who dared to hurt Kloe. The principal was clearly annoyed at being contradicted. The suck-up dean started in on Ms. Davis. "Ms. Davis, you need to watch your attitude. This is a school. Fighting is wrong, regardless of the reason." "What the hell?" Before he could finish, I pulled out my phone and called my dad. "Dad, I got in a fight at school. You need to come down here. Leo and the guys got the message and immediately pulled out their own phones to call their parents. The principal looked at the 10 students with the worst grades in the class and felt a headache coming on. These were the same 10 whose parents had gotten Mr. Williams fired. Who knew what they were planning this time? Before long, my dad and a whole group of parents arrived. The principal escorted them to his office. We stayed put. Once the adults were involved, it was out of our hands. I turned to Kloe. Was I cool today or what? From now on, if anyone gives you trouble, don't just take it. I've got your back. She was quiet for a long moment, then said, You bullied me more than anyone. She was talking to me. After all this time, she was finally talking to me. My time had come. I couldn't help but let out a happy laugh. Kloe looked at me like I was a lunatic and muttered, Weirdo. Holy crap, 2 sentences in one go. I was ecstatic. Then she went back to ignoring me, nervously scooting her chair farther away. I guess no one wants to sit next to a giggling idiot. I didn't care. I was still basking in the glow of our conversation. My dad handled it. He paid the other kids' medical bills, and I got a major demerit on my record, but that was it. The problem went away. After Ms. Davis stood up for us, her reputation in our class skyrocketed. I knew I had to cherish every day of this second chance and really apply myself. Even Leo and the guys started to study. Crap, I was still struggling to even get started, and they were already hitting the books. At this rate, I was still going to be dead last on the finals. After the fight, Kloe's attitude towards me shifted slightly. She didn't actively avoid me anymore, but she still wouldn't talk to me. Fine, don't talk to me. But the worst part was, she would talk to Leo. That jerk would bring his textbook over and ask her questions, and she would patiently explain everything in her soft voice. I was dying of jealousy. During study hall, I spent 10 minutes staring at a math problem without even understanding the question. On a whim, I gently poked Kloe. She flinched and curled in on herself like a startled hedgehog. I shook my head, exasperated. Hey, am I really that terrifying? I just wanted to ask you about a problem. It took her a moment to calm down. She took my book, glanced at me a few times, and finally couldn't help but ask, Are you actually trying to learn? Of course, I said, frustrated. I've been killing myself over this stuff. You think this is just an act? I nodded eagerly. Yes, definitely. If I'm last in the class again on the finals, my dad will literally kill me. Kloe shook her head, clearly not believing me. After all, as Leo said, I was permanently glued to the bottom of the rankings, and my dad hadn't killed me yet. An idea popped into my head. I decided to scare her a little. Look, I'm the reason Mr. Williams is gone. I made a bet with my dad that if he got Ms. Davis to be our teacher, my grades would improve. If I'm last again on the finals, they'll replace her. Kloe looked panicked. She looked at me, and I gave her a firm, serious nod. I didn't have many talents, but my greatest one was being able to believe my own lies. If I could convince myself, then it might as well be true. It worked. She was now more invested in my academic success than I was. Every day before the final bell, she'd ask me if there was anything I didn't understand from the day's lessons. I wasn't about to let that opportunity slide. I wanted her to reteach me everything from the entire day. Listening to her soft, quiet voice, I was completely captivated. Kloe's intelligence and communication skills were top tier. She might be quiet, but when she spoke, she was always concise and hit the nail on the head. Under her expert guidance, I slowly started to get the hang of it. Seeing me hunched over my books every night, my parents were stunned. My mom asked my dad doubtfully, Do you think our son is actually studying? This level of effort is kind of freaking me out. My dad nodded, though he didn't sound convinced. I guess so. If he keeps this up, maybe he'll even manage to be second to last on the finals. I was killing myself, and they thought my goal was just not to be last. After 3 months of hard work, finals week arrived. I was still nervous, so I gathered Leo and the guys. Listen up, I said. This exam is critical for me. I need you all to turn in blank tests. If I end up in last place again, Kloe will never speak to me again. They looked at me, conflicted. But Ethan, Leo said, we've been studying for months too. We kind of want to see how we'll do. You'll have plenty of other chances. This time, just turn in blank tests for me. And Leo, nice, using big words like test now. Ignoring their grumbling, I walked into the exam full of confidence. With them as my safety net, there was no way I could come in last. If I wasn't worried about giving my parents a heart attack, I would have roped a few more kids into my scheme. After the exams, I felt pretty good. Besides English, there wasn't much I didn't know. A few days later, the results were posted. I was 5th in the class. I was floored. A slacker like me actually ranked 5th after just 3 months of studying? Did everyone hear that rumor about Ms. Davis being replaced if I failed and decide to throw their exams for me? Leo and the guys didn't keep their promise. None of them turned in a blank test. but I still crushed them easily. I was ecstatic. I showed my report card to Kloe. She let out a long sigh of relief. Ms. Davis was staying. When Ms. Davis announced the results, she praised me and Leo and the guys for our huge improvement, saying that if we kept it up, our demerits from the fight would be expunged next year. I didn't really care about that. But then she laid into Kloe, and she didn't pull any punches. Kloe was still first in our class and 10th in our entire grade, but she'd only gotten a C in English. If she'd gotten an A, she would have been number 1 in the grade. Ms. Davis really tore into her, and Kloe started to cry. It hurt to watch, but I couldn't blame Ms. Davis. How could her English improve if she never spoke? After school, I caught up with Kloe and asked what her plans were for the summer. She said she wanted to find a job. My heart ached for her. This poor, naive girl. Who was going to hire an underage kid? I told her I was going to ask Ms. Davis to tutor me in English over the break and asked if she wanted to join. She shook her head. I knew she would, so I didn't push it. She was so fragile, and things between us had just started to get better. If I forced her, she'd just retreat into her shell again. I had my dad talk to Ms. Davis. At first, she refused, but when my dad mentioned that Kloe could stay at our house for the summer and get tutored with me, she immediately agreed. She genuinely cared about Kloe and wanted to see her get first place in the grade. She went to talk to Kloe, but to her surprise, Kloe, who usually agreed to anything Ms. Davis asked, firmly refused. It looked like it was up to me. I went to the school dorms and had Ms. Davis call Kloe down for me. We walked out to the athletic field. We sat on the grass, and she sat next to me. I watched her as she stared at the ground, lost in thought. I asked her why she didn't want to come to my house. She said she didn't want to be indebted to anyone, because she had nothing and would never be able to repay the favor. Her words were like a punch to the gut. Couldn't she see that wasn't it at all? It felt like she was stabbing me with her words. I told her I knew about her family situation. She looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. Then I launched my real attack. Kloe, I know what you're thinking, but let me ask you one question. Do you want to escape Havenwood, escape Riverton, and go somewhere new where you can live the life you want to live? She was silent for a long time before giving a firm nod. I knew exactly what kids from broken homes wanted most: to escape their past, to go somewhere no one knew them, and to start completely fresh. Then you have to come to my house, I said. You have to accept my help and Ms. Davis's. It's the only way you'll improve your English and get into a top university in a city far away from here. Right now, you need to be investing in your future, not earning a few bucks at some summer job. How much could you possibly make anyway? It was a direct hit. After a long pause, she said quietly, I don't want to be a burden. I smiled and patted her on the head. You can pay me back later. Kloe had nothing but her fierce pride. If I told her it was no trouble, she'd see it as charity. But if I framed it as a loan she could repay later, it would be easier for her to accept, and it would give me an excuse to stay close to her. That evening, I brought Kloe home. She trailed behind me like a lost puppy. My parents both stood up to greet her. My mom took her hands and looked her over. Oh, you're such a beautiful, sweet-looking girl. I gave my mom a helpless look. What was she seeing? Kloe was clean, sure, but beautiful? With her slumped shoulders, bowed head, and hair shorter than mine, the only feminine thing about her was her incredible figure. My mom took Kloe to the guest room to help her unpack. When she saw Kloe's belongings, she started to cry, stroking Kloe's back. This poor child has suffered so much. These clothes and shoes, they look like things we wore when we were young. Look at this. This simple cloth dress is completely faded. How many times must it have been washed? I rolled my eyes. If she'd seen Kloe eating 4 plain bread rolls with a free soup for lunch every day, she'd have a complete breakdown. Thinking about it made me feel sorry for her too. She only ate 1 real meal a day, so she had to stuff herself. Ms. Davis would only occasionally take her out for a proper dinner. After Kloe was settled, my parents started planning to take her shopping for new clothes the next day. I quickly cut them off. Whoa, hold on. If you don't want to scare her away, don't go overboard. My dad shot me a glare, but then turned to comfort my mom. I know you feel for the girl, but kids from her background have a lot of pride, especially with a childhood like hers. Not every kid is as thick-skinned as our son. We need to take it slow. I just turned and went to my room. I was so annoyed I just wanted to sleep. Ms. Davis came over early the next morning. She said she didn't have much planned for the summer, so she wanted to give us some extra lessons. The tutoring began, and Ms. Davis was no longer the gentle teacher from the classroom. I was fine with it. I just did whatever she told me to do. Kloe, on the other hand, was struggling. When Ms. Davis asked her to read aloud, her voice was barely a whisper. Ms. Davis was getting so frustrated, she looked ready to explode. I was getting nervous for Kloe. The third time Ms. Davis told her to speak up, Kloe's voice was still a mumble. Ms. Davis couldn't take it anymore and gave her a sharp slap on the back. which sent Kloe lurching forward. I quickly reached out to steady her, and my hand landed right on her chest. Holy crap, my hand could barely cover half of it. Kloe frantically pushed me away and sat up straight, which only made it more noticeable. From the side, her figure was just incredible. Ms. Davis didn't notice our little exchange. She pointed at Kloe, exasperated. I can't read your lips, Kloe. I need you to speak louder. I couldn't help but chuckle. Kloe lowered her head. The next time Ms. Davis asked her to read, she started to mumble again. I made a fist under the table where she could see it, and her voice instantly got louder. And just like that, Kloe finally found her voice. We studied until 9, when my mom brought in breakfast. She called us to the table, but Kloe refused, saying she wasn't used to eating in the morning. My mom insisted and made her sit down. She finished one small bowl of oatmeal and then stopped. I shot my mom a look to stop her from pushing Kloe to eat more. For her, eating it all was a big step. After breakfast, we went back to studying. Kloe's voice was much more confident now, and her English sounded beautiful when she read it aloud. At 1 o'clock, lunch was ready. Kloe ate silently, only eating the food my mom put on her plate. When she finished her rice, she took her bowl to the kitchen. My mom followed her. Let me get you a refill. You're our guest. But Kloe was already at the sink, washing her bowl. I'm full, Mrs. Hayes, she said quietly. My mom came back and whispered to me, is she really full? Some girls just don't eat very much. I raised my voice deliberately so Kloe could hear. Her? A small appetite. Did you forget what I told you? She can eat 4 huge bread rolls with just soup for lunch. Ms. Davis covered her mouth to hide a smile. When Kloe came out of the kitchen, her ears were bright red. I had done it on purpose. I wanted her to know she didn't have to be shy in our house. She could eat as much as she wanted. And it worked. That evening, she started taking food for herself, just the dishes directly in front of her. My mom would put the rest on her plate. After she finished her first bowl, she quietly said, Mrs. Hayes, I'm going to get some more rice. I had to try so hard not to laugh. After dinner, my parents and I took Kloe for a walk around the neighborhood. Leo and the guys were outside playing basketball. They were stunned to see Kloe with us, and all came over. Kloe actually greeted them first. Ever since they had defended her in that fight, she had started talking to them normally. It had made me incredibly jealous at the time. When the guys found out Kloe was staying at my house and getting tutored by Ms. Davis, they were insanely jealous and all wanted to join. Leo kicked each of them away, then gave me a knowing look. I raised an eyebrow back at him. He always got it. The annoying thing was that Bella somehow found out about the tutoring sessions and showed up at our door the next morning with her backpack. My mom politely invited her in. Our families were close, after all. I thought to myself, Mom, in another life, you slapped this girl across the face. But at lunch, Bella started running her mouth, not only calling Kloe melons, but also telling my parents all about how I used to bully her at school, laughing about it like it was a funny story. As Kloe's head sank lower and lower, my mom's expression grew darker. The second Bella put down her fork, my mom said to her in a stern voice, Bella, I think you should go home this afternoon. And don't come back. You're not welcome here. Bella was stunned. She managed to say goodbye to my mom before running out of our house in tears. I was thrilled. I gave my mom a thumbs up. You're the best, Mom. You always know what's right. My mom just gave me a blank look, then went to her room and didn't come out for the rest of the afternoon. I had a very bad feeling. I didn't think much of it. Kloe, on the other hand, seemed happy all afternoon because my mom had stood up for her. My dad got home that evening after Ms. Davis had left, so it was just the 4 of us. Before dinner, my mom pulled my dad into their bedroom to talk about something. When they came out, my dad's face was grim. I tried to lighten the mood during dinner, but my parents wouldn't even look at me. After dinner, Kloe was getting ready for our walk, but my parents just sat on the couch. My mom called Kloe over to sit beside her, putting an arm around her. My dad told me to come stand in front of him. When my dad unbuckled his belt, I knew I was in for it. I knew that move all too well. I'd gotten plenty of beatings in my past life, and I had never forgotten the feeling. I was about to make a run for it, but my mom's calm voice stopped me. Kneel. I knelt. My mom rarely got angry, but when she did, even my dad was terrified of her. I didn't stand a chance. My dad didn't say a word. He just started whipping me with the belt. I was screaming and begging him to stop. So proud of yourself, are you? He said between strikes, making fun of a girl's body, leading the whole class and tormenting her. Does it make you feel big to pick on someone weaker than you? He was panting with rage. I stopped crying out. This was real anger. I can accept you being a good-for-nothing. I have no problem supporting you for the rest of your life. But I will not tolerate you being a bad person. I will beat the evil right out of you. I wanted to scream that it wasn't fair. That was the old me. Why was the new me being punished for it? Paying for the sins of a past life in this one. It was never going to end. Kloe, seeing how bad it was, finally spoke up. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, please. Ethan doesn't bully me anymore. He's been very kind to me. My mom pulled her back down onto the couch. You stay out of this. He deserves it. Fine. I just take it. Getting beaten like this in front of Kloe was utterly humiliating. I had no dignity left. He finally stopped after 20 minutes. Go to your room and think about what you've done. My back was covered in welts. I had to crawl back to my room. I couldn't even lie down. I just had to lie on my stomach. I heard the front door close. The three of them had gone for their walk. I was such a loser. I pay for my past life sins, and they don't even include me. As I was drifting off, I felt someone touching my back. I turned my head with difficulty and saw Kloe dabbing ointment on the welts. Does it hurt? She whispered. I shook my head. After how I treated you, I deserved it. I owed you that. She didn't say anything else. When she was done, she quietly closed my door and went back to her room. A warmth spread through my chest. She was starting to care about me. But then I thought about it. It wasn't right. Ever since she started talking to me, I'd been happy even when she was insulting me. I was acting like a total simp. She wasn't some master manipulator, was she? Just stringing me along. No, that was impossible. And even if she was, I'd accept it. I'd do anything for her. I owed her that much from my past life. After that beating, Kloe and my mom became incredibly close, and she started to really become a part of our family. A harmony bought with my own blood and sweat. Before the school year started, Ms. Davis had to begin her lesson planning, so our tutoring sessions ended. Kloe wanted to go back to the dorms, but my mom wouldn't let her, so she stayed. My mom had way more influence over her than I did now. My mom took Kloe shopping, and I was the designated bag carrier. They bought her a whole new wardrobe, from underwear to shoes. I don't know what my mom said to her, but Kloe accepted everything without protest. When Kloe appeared before me in a fitted white sundress with a red headband holding her hair back, I was absolutely stunned. With her hair pulled back, I could see her whole face clearly for the first time. Was this really Kloe? She was far more beautiful than Bella, but mostly, it was the way she carried herself, with her head held high. And that figure. In that moment, my heart skipped a beat. Leo had been right all along. When we got home, even my dad was struck by how amazing she looked. That night, I quietly asked Kloe what my mom had said to her. She told me that the reason I was bullied was because I had no confidence. Kloe explained. She said that a woman needs to believe in herself to be strong, that clothes are just on the outside, but they can help bring out your inner confidence. It was true. After 2 months under my mom's wing, Kloe was a completely different person, so much more confident. I nodded. You're confident enough to eat 3 bowls of rice at dinner now. No one can say you lack confidence. Her face instantly turned bright red. The day before school started, Kloe was packing her new backpack when my dad called us both downstairs. My parents were sitting on the couch in the living room. My mom spoke gently to Kloe. Kloe, dear, we've gotten to know you over these past 2 months, and we know your story. Your uncle and I have always wanted a daughter. Would you be willing to let us adopt you? Kloe burst into tears. No one has ever loved me my whole life. Mrs. Hayes, ever since I came here, you've been so good to me. You served me food at dinner. You stood up for me against Bella. You even punished Ethan for how he treated me. You've taught me how to be a woman. You've shown me what a mother's love feels like, protecting me and keeping me warm like a real daughter. I already think of you as my mother. My mom, also crying, pulled Kloe into a hug. The two of them just held each other and cried. So that was it. Damn, it was so touching I almost started crying myself. But wait, if they adopted her, what did that mean for me? I object. Oh, shut up, my dad said. Kloe is your sister now. If anyone bullies her again, you'll get the same treatment as last time, and that's the standard. What if someone else bullies her? I'm talking about other people. What? Were you planning on bullying her yourself? If someone else bullies her, it's your job as her big brother to take care of it. My dad looked at me with disdain. There was no reasoning with anyone in this family. I stomped upstairs and immediately Googled whether it was legal for non-blood-related siblings to date and get married. The answer was yes, as long as there's no blood relation. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. So, Kloe officially became a member of our family and continued to live with us. Every day, Kloe and I walked to and from school together, and we were still desk mates. We talked more and more, and I gradually realized she was starting to rely on me. She wasn't the type to have strong opinions, but she had an incredible ability to analyze a situation and execute a plan. Every day, she'd walk home with me, Leo, and our friends. She fit right in with them. They all knew her story and were always kind to her. The teacher who had assaulted her in my past life never showed up. We were always in a big group, so he never got the chance. I had considered using her as bait to catch him, but I couldn't risk putting her in danger, so I dropped the idea. The next 3 years of high school flew by. I had finally become a real student. It took me 2 lifetimes, but I was finally on the right path. Leo and the guys had also shed their troublemaker attitudes. On the day of our final exams, Ms. Davis and my mom stood on either side of Kloe, each holding one of her hands. My mom wore a stunning red dress for good luck. My poor dad, on the other hand, had been forced by my mom to wear a ridiculous bright yellow vest over his shirt. She said it was for good luck. Kloe and I looked at my dad, who was standing awkwardly in the crowd, and we laughed so hard we could barely breathe. Ms. Davis gave Kloe a hug and told her not to be nervous. I pointed to my dad. How can we be nervous when we see him dressed like that? Everyone burst out laughing again. The 2 days of exams went perfectly. When we walked out of the testing center, we smiled at the 3 of them waiting for us and flashed a victory sign. We'd nailed it. I was planning a trip for me and Kloe, but my dad stopped me. He said Kloe already had plans for the summer. I was completely confused. The next day, my dad took her to the headquarters of Hayes Corporation. Kloe was officially starting her career at the family company. When it was time to choose our university, Kloe and I both applied to a top school in Boston. Our scores were more than high enough, and Leo and the guys did well too. After we submitted our applications, I let out a long breath. Kloe, now that that's done, can we finally go on that trip? She looked at me apologetically. Dad wants me to intern at the company this summer. Maybe you should go by yourself? Ethan, go by myself? Like hell. At dinner that night, I confronted my dad. Are you using Kloe as your personal workhorse? This is the summer after senior year. It's a once-in-a-lifetime break. We're finally free from all that pressure, and you won't even let us have some fun? My dad gave me a contemptuous look. You can go wherever you want, you bum. I'm not stopping you. But my daughter isn't going to sit around and do nothing like you. He then turned to my mom. You have no idea. Once she got the hang of the business, she made a few calls that were absolutely brilliant. She's a natural, a born leader. I think I can finally retire after she graduates. I was dumbfounded. What about me? I'm doing great now. Aren't you going to let me inherit the company? My dad looked at me with pure disdain. Without Kloe, you're just a lazy bum waiting for a handout. You've improved, sure, but you haven't fundamentally changed. Don't even think about the company. I grumbled. Fine, give it to her. In a few years, it'll be the Kloe Corporation anyway. Kloe frantically waved her hands. No, that's not. My dad held up a hand to stop her. If I give it to Kloe, it's hers. Son, daughter, it makes no difference to me. I'm not some old-fashioned traditionalist. As for what the company is called, well, that depends on you, son. I understood instantly. I looked at my mom, who was smiling silently. With their blessing, it was now or never. I took Kloe's hand. Kloe, I don't know how you feel about me, or if you like me even a little bit, but I know for sure that I'm in love with you. I would do anything for you, even give my life. So, I need to ask you seriously, will you be my girlfriend? Kloe's face was practically buried in her dinner plate. After I finished speaking, she let out a tiny, quiet yes. Holy crap, she said yes. I was overjoyed. I had finally gotten my wish. My parents were thrilled too. Now, we were truly a family. I let myself relax. I had been holding back for so long. In this new life, I hadn't even been with a girl yet. Every day when Kloe got home from work, I'd be all over her. She didn't mind kissing and cuddling, but whenever I tried to take things further, she'd stop me, saying she was too shy to do anything in my parents' house. I grinned mischievously. So, what about when we get to college? She gave another one of her tiny, quiet yes. On move-in day, my dad drove the whole family to Boston. I was dying for them to leave so I could finally be alone with Kloe, but my mom announced they hadn't been to Boston in ages and were going to stay for a few days, until after our freshman orientation week was over. I was so mad I skipped dinner. We finally got through orientation week. At lunch, my parents took us out. Afterwards, my mom took Kloe aside and told her seriously that she needed to protect herself and not let me push her into anything. My dad pulled me aside. I'm a man, I get it, he whispered. But if you come home with a baby on the way, I swear I will fly to Boston and break both your legs. I waved him off impatiently. Yeah, I get it. Now can you please just take mom and go home? After I finally saw my parents off, I immediately started clinging to Kloe. She looked at me, conflicted. Your mom told me I have to protect myself, that I can't just give in to you. Are you going to listen to me or your mom? Who's the one you're going to marry? You need to get your priorities straight. She looked a little scared. For the past 3 years, she had always done what I said. After some gentle persuasion, I finally got my wish that night. The next morning, I woke up to find Kloe crying. I panicked, terrified she was going to call my mom and say I'd hurt her. I'd probably have to drop out of college for a year. I quickly tried to comfort her. She hugged me tightly. Ethan, she sobbed. We're not going to end up like my parents, are we? You know, When I was 15, I saw my mother, only 34 years old, lying in a cold coffin. I thought then that marriage was a terrifying thing, that I never wanted to fall in love or get married. My poor girl. I stroked her back. No, I said softly. We won't. Do you know why? I already lost you once, a long time ago. I had to go through the heart-stopping pain of being crushed by a car just to get this chance to be with you again. Every single day I have with you now is a gift from heaven. How could I ever not cherish it? She didn't understand, just blinked her big, beautiful eyes at me. I didn't explain the whole rebirth thing. I just held her face in my hands and looked her in the eyes. Just remember this, I said. You are the most precious person in the world to me. I would go through that agony 1,000 times over just to protect you and love you forever. No one gets to be young and have the wisdom of experience at the same time. But I do. I will hold Chloe's hand and never let go, because I know she is worth everything.